by the lovely, Brandon.
The beautiful
Mr.
and talented Brandon. Thank you very much.
It is the WADcast, the Writers, Actors, Directors Podcast. And definitely not forgetting every member of the set in between. That's right, best boys. We're looking at you. You keep the lights on.
Best boys.
Yeah. I was going to say gaffers, but, I didn't think it was quite obscure enough. Oh, welcome to the show, everybody. We have quite the episode lined up for you tonight. We're going to talk about stuff and junk.
Stuff and junk. Yeah, we're going to be talking about things that started off in movies and in TV and became reality, science fiction to science nonfiction. So I'm actually, there's something I want to talk about a few weeks ago, but it just never made it on there. I forget what we even talked about where it got sidelined because our show actually, like our other topic actually took the entirety of the show before. So
Yeah. We, we didn't pace ourselves. We kind of
Do we ever?
carried away. But now here we are. And we've spent hours and days compiling this list of information. It definitely did not do it in the last 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say hours and days. Man, I've never spent that much time on anything ever.
Well, they don't know that.
Oh, Christ. Okay, so I mean, but yeah, like there's a nice little list going on here that I pieced together weeks ago. And there's a lot of things that you would never think that we had that actually came from TV shows, like things like Star Trek. Star Trek, they were the first ones to really touch on things like I guess Dick Tracy would be more accurate. Dick Tracy touched on before Star Trek. They were like the walkie-talkie radio watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like Star Trek, though, if anyone that's listening has ever gone back and watched the original like William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy episodes, they're communicators that would flip open, very similar to the flip phones that were popular back in like the mid 2000s. Yeah, it actually got a few things right with that. Like, I mean, granted, it was kind of like they were just talking into the speakerphone. And I can't tell you how many times when I had my first flip phone, I would flip it open and start talking into it in like this exaggerated William Shatner-esque kind of Captain Kirk voice.
I do that still, but only to irritate telemarketers.
I don't have a flip phone to do that with. Otherwise, I really want to get one again, just so I can do it. And right now, flip phones, back then, if you had a camera, you were the shit. You're like the man if your flip phone had a camera.
Yeah, those really low res pictures that you would take of your cat.
Oh yeah, super pixelated pictures. It looked like it was taken on like a Game Boy Color or something like that. It was so bad. But no, it's like it was. I'm a little nostalgic about that kind of stuff. I'm not a nostalgic person, but there's a level of nostalgia there. That and also Star Trek did the Universal Translator,
Mm-hmm.
which like it was something that started off as like a tool for Spock. And he would use it. He used it to communicate with like a non-biological entity. But Star Trek started doing this kind of stuff, and it was used to communicate with intelligent life. But now there's products such as Source Connect's Pocket Talk and Skype's voice translation service. They're capable of providing instantaneous translation between languages. Like, I mean, I could talk into something and it'll immediately spit out what I said in English into whatever language am I choosing for whoever I'm speaking with. I actually use it on my phone quite a bit for my non-English speaking patients. They'll speak back to me and I'll hear what they're saying, but I'm hearing it in English, and usually it's not as nice as what I say. I've been told to go screw myself a few times. But you know, and the last thing that Star Trek brought into play was actually teleportation, and people don't realize that teleportation does exist, just not thankfully in ways of like Jeff Goldblum from pod to pod, because we saw what happened when the fly, got fused with him. Didn't end well for Jeff Goldblum. That beautiful, beautiful man was turned into a giant fly freak thing.
Hey, spoilers, I haven't seen it.
You've never seen The Fly,
No.
Joshua.
It's on my list. It's on my
that
list.
movie
It's
was
just not
made in the
streaming anywhere.
80s.
At least as far as I know, it's not streaming anywhere. I haven't started the new streaming show yet, so I haven't been able
You
to
can watch
quite
it
figure
on
it out.
YouTube for free with ads.
Ads? What am I, some sort of mook?
You know what? Everyone, like when we were kids, like commercials would come on, like, "Oh my God, there's 3 minutes of commercials. I can't stand this." And now it's like, "Oh, that's a 15-second ad." God.
Exactly. I don't pay like $6,000 a month for streaming services to have commercials. It's not going to happen in this house, sir.
And I appreciate you springing for Hulu, so as to
The ad-free
keep
version
me,
at that.
huh?
The ad-free version.
Yes, I appreciate that. Even though I have an account on your Hulu, I never use it because Danielle has a Hulu. She uses my Netflix. I use her Hulu, so we're good. But
That's how relationships should work, but I'm single, so I don't have anybody to share accounts with except my friends.
well, at least one of your kids is getting to the age where she's able to go get a job and provide at least something for the household, and she can provide entertainment in terms of streaming platforms, right? So to get to it. But
Yeah,
no,
I
but
get
like
the
the
feeling
whole
that
thing.
it would be like a supernatural streaming service. Like,
Oh,
if CW had a thing, she would be like, "Yep, we're getting the CW streaming. That's my contribution." I'm like,
they do. It's on
oh god.
Netflix.
Yeah, they do have the deal with Netflix. Um, so there's that. You know, one thing that you didn't mention when it comes to Star Trek is the really big flat screens.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I was going to get to that actually, but I was talking about teleportation real quick, just because of the fact that we never teleported a person yet. But
As
we
far
have
as we
teleported
know.
photons. We teleported photons, and I know it's kind of weird, being that they have like the photon torpedoes in Star Trek. Was it photon? Were they photon or proton torpedoes? I think it was photon, right?
Hold on, let me check. On the photon torpedo. Yeah, photon.
Okay, photon. So we've actually, like, in recent years, scientists haven't figured out, like I said, they haven't figured out how to teleport humans or even inanimate objects yet. But they can teleport balls of energy, like these photons. They can teleport them. Pretty much like it's a best way to put it. Basically, they clash together, but the information exchange between the two photons when they're transporting them, it occurs at like I think it says around like 10,000 times faster than the speed of light. One of these days, I want to be teleported before I die.
But as Star Trek asks that very important question, when you get teleported, are you really dying?
Oh God, that's right. I forgot all about
Something to
that.
think about.
But then, like as you said, like the big flat screen TVs, like like the because the bridge, it's not just a window, but the window actually has a screen built into it where they can communicate with captains of other starships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Teleconferencing. That's another big one.
Yep.
Star Trek
Skype,
was
Zoom, all that stuff. Um, and then my favorite, actually, one of my favorite franchises in the world was Star Wars, the original trilogy, Star Wars. 3D holograms. That became a real thing after Star Wars came out. Like, and it didn't even take long. It took, I think, less than a decade for the first. No, I'm sorry, less than 3 decades. So it took. Star Wars was what, like 77, I think. I'm sorry. So it's 2018. Researchers from Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah, create a real hologram. Technique called volumetric display works like an etch-a-sketch toy, but uses particles at high speeds. With lasers, researchers can trap particles and move them to a designated shape, while another set of lasers emit red, green, and blue light onto the particle to create an image.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it can only happen on small scales. It's not like when Darth Vader is talking to Emperor Palpatine and there's a giant head, like overbearing, knowing of everything head, staring at him and discussing thy building. But yeah,
Whenever those things happened, I was always like, where are the cameras?
where the what?
Where are the cameras? To where they're looking directly at each other.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is like it's like they know exactly where they are. It's like I'm looking right at you. Like, whoa, how? Like you think they'd be looking off to the side a little bit, but that would just look silly, I mean, Darth Vader is looking at a camera to his right, Emperor Palpatine's looking at a camera to his right, so they're both basically looking off to the side instead of looking at each other. It's not as dramatic.
That's the thing that I still think we have not mastered yet, as far as from movies to real life. You see the commercials for like Skype, a new way of communicating, and people are on the TV. They're like looking directly into the camera, right? For these commercials, and I'm like, well, if you're looking directly into the camera, that almost defeats the purpose of having a video chat, because you're not looking at the people you're chatting with. So unless they find a way to put a very, very pinhole, camera in the middle of a screen, you're not actually looking directly at the person you're communicating with. And that I don't know why it bugs me, but it does. And I still think we have work to do on that front. I'd say 98% of the way there.
I still like. I mean, I would love for someone to make a movie where they're communicating, and in their communication, neither one of them is making eye contact with the other person. I would absolutely love that.
That'd be great. Oi, oi, over here.
And there's
here.
also never any like disconnect between transmissions either. That's one thing you never see either. It's like, I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Hey, could you speak louder? Hey, tell that guy behind you to shut the hell up.
Yeah, usually when you see things like that, it's done for some sort of comedic or dramatic effect. Like,
but you know what?
Breaking up.
It's comedic.
What, we're breaking up?
It might be comedic, but it's fucking real.
It is.
I mean, how many times have I been on the show with you, and because I'm on my phone, I can't hear you. Can hear me, but all I hear on my end is.
I will go out on a limb and say 30 times.
Yeah, it's happened a lot. So imagine Emperor Palpatine, trying to be like menacing. He's got his stop because what he doesn't know if what he's saying is even being heard.
Hold on. Lord, you have that I will not tolerate.
Master, could you please step away from the microphone?
But I said that you have support.
I can't understand you, Master.
Then you just see someone like
use the Force.
Like, I feel
like a Darth Bane kind of deal. I was born in the Force, molded by it. I didn't hold a lightsaber till I was already a man. I'm afraid the station is quite operational.
I'm afraid the Wi-Fi has blind spots.
I find your lack of Wi-Fi disturbing.
Yes.
Oh man. But it'd
But
be awesome. Like, just think at the end of Solo, okay, when Darth Maul has that badass, cameo, and he holds his hand on it, he pulls that fucking double saber, and he ignites it, right? Imagine if that happens, and he's looking off to his left, but like a downward angle, a little bit. It's not as menacing. There's no way in hell that would be remotely close to intimidating to anyone watching this movie. Like, wow, that just looks stupid. That's not how that works. Or maybe like the camera is like eye level, but it's just like one lens, so they're staring at it cross-eyed, or there's two lenses, they don't know which one to look into.
yeah, before it's like, do I look left one or the right one? I can't look in both. Do I look in the left or the right? Camera one, camera
Yeah,
two.
like I
Which
mean,
one?
it's just camera one, camera two. A production assistant stormtrooper is getting fired today.
See, that's the thing about stormtroopers. They can't shoot anything.
Oh my god. I mean, at least they can hit their heads on stuff like, doors that are opening. But yeah, they can, like, and that's one thing that always cracked me about the original Star Wars movie. These blasts are not accurate enough to. They're made to look inaccurate. I forget what the line was Obi-Wan Kenobi said to Luke, but he's talking about how it's made to look inaccurate, as if it's a sloppy shooting of sand people, as opposed to the accuracy of stormtroopers. And there's not a single stormtrooper in any of those movies that has ever really had good aim. Ever.
Nope.
It's like, I mean,
Not
I
one.
get the stormtroopers. I believe they were the same as the clone troopers, right? Like the clone soldiers,
Well,
supposed to be or something.
there's big mythology, and then of course with the expanded stuff from the OG trilogy that we figured out that people were just stormtroopers at some point. They had plumbers and waste disposal people.
Well, I mean, we could easily go back to like the whole Clerks conversation about the Death Star, and not just the original Death Star, because that was completed, but the second one,
Hmm.
where they were under construction, and in comes the Rebel Alliance and blows them all to hell, killing plumbers, electricians, and carpenters, and all. If you can't shoot a target with a gun, I highly doubt that you can keep that helmet on and, I don't know, work on electricity. Uh, Plumbing is, I guess, kind of sure. You still have to measure, measure twice, cut once. But and same with carpentry. Imagine wearing the helmet trying to hit a nail with a hammer.
I'm imagining it. That's
Like I've nailed my thumb a few times, in the years trying to hammer a nail like on the fly, really quick. And you have to think these stormtroopers are under a lot of duress because of the Emperor's kind of a dick. Like he's not afraid to let his minions know that they are very much replaceable. Even the high-ranking ones, they're killed constantly.
so you're saying there's an opening. But getting back on track,
Yes.
after OG Star Trek and after Star Wars, we can jump to, say, Star Trek The Next Generation, and there are tons of things that came directly inspired from TNG, like tablets.
Oh, yep.
They used
Yep.
them all the damn time. Although I'm still waiting on my holodeck.
Me too with the Dancing Girl. I mean, oh yeah. Yeah, me too. For like professional reasons, though.
Question though:
Professional reasons.
if you do it on holodeck, is it illegal?
Well, it's definitely not cheating because it's simulation, and they're not real people. Apparently, you can touch them and feel them and everything else from what I've seen in all shows. Like you're able to interact with them, and
Mm-hmm.
the holodecks can go haywire as they have done in both the original Star Trek as well as in the Next Generation.
Now I'm gonna have to
And
call you out on that one. There was no holodeck in the original Star Trek.
oh, then I'm thinking about the Next Generation then, because that's the one. Like,
Yes.
okay, so no, I'm sorry, no. You know, what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about when James, when like Captain Kirk went back in time, fell in love with a girl, saved her, and then Nazis took over the Earth and everything else, and he had to go back in time again and let her die.
Whole lot of time travel.
Yeah, time travel happened. The holodeck was Next Generation. See, I'm not a Star Wars. I'm not a Star Trek nerd. That's you're the Trekkie, not me. But
That's Trekker, and no, I've never
Trekkie
been to a Star Trek convention, so I cannot carry that title.
doesn't matter. You know more about Star Trek than I do. You fucking nerd. Either way, so digital billboards. Uh,
Yes.
nerd.
Well, it was all on Netflix, so I was like, you know what? I've, you know, back when we were kids, we didn't have anything, right? When it comes to choices in what to watch.
Oh
So
yeah, it was just
more
what was
often
on
than
TV
not,
at that time.
more often than not, if we wanted to have control of what we watched, we pretended like we were in control by raiding our parents' VHS cabinets. And
Oh
my
yeah.
dad happened to collect all of the Star Trek movies. So I wound up watching them, every so often. And TNG being on TV the way it was, all the time. I caught a few episodes here and there. Voyager was like the first Star Trek that I didn't really miss. But when everything was on Netflix,
7 of 9.
every single season of every single Star Trek show was on there up to Enterprise. I was like, you know what? Let's do this. And I watched everything. And then I watched all the movies again. And then I haven't seen any of the CBS All Access shows. I hear good things, but I don't know. I don't want to subscribe to another streaming service.
Yeah, I've not seen a single episode of Picard. I hear great things about it, but I've not seen a single episode.
And Discovery,
But
I hear, is really good.
and Discovery, yeah, and Discovery. And there's even like an animated Star Trek series that is actually more adult oriented apparently. Um, but no, but moving on though from Star Trek, you have things like the digital billboards that you saw in Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
They become a thing in the last decade and a half or so, especially up in like Times Square, New York. I remember when I used to work up there. I remember that the digital thing back in like 2004. When I would go up there all the time, that they weren't digital. They were still like like the light up LED signs and everything else. And I went up there again in 2000 what 2004 2014 I think. And it was seriously like it's the there it's like just giant movie screens of like moving ads and everything else. It's like digital ads that are running on the thing. You have them out there. You have them in China. You have them out here in Los Angeles. There's a few places.
Mm-hmm.
And Blade Runner actually got a few things like even artificial intelligence. That was like a big thing in Blade Runner, and it's become a very real thing where like now you can actually have computers talk to each other like in front of you.
Yeah.
But But yeah, I mean, like things like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Um, excuse me. Now, while it didn't really get it right with us having commercialized space travel by 2001, because that was a big part of the movie. Um, it's oh God, excuse me. The space station alone was a pretty much it was a big inspiration for the International Space Station. And that's been orbiting Earth since I think like 1997 or 1998, somewhere around there. Um, but and, like the space station in 2001, it was much more luxurious from what I've seen, like from the movie versus pictures of the ISS. Oh, excuse me. The movie just kind of provided inspiration for it. Oh, God, I'm sorry, man. Excuse me. It's been a long day. But and then tablets actually, like as you said, like tablets were a big thing. But that was also and that also made its first appearance in 2001: A Space Odyssey. You said tablets and everything else, handheld devices. That was 2001. But the one that really pissed me off though, because I was looking forward to it when I was a kid when I saw this movie, it was Back to the Future 2 with hoverboards. Technically, they exist. Technically,
Yeah, but not
but they're
not in
not
the
like
way
the
that a
ones
lot
in
of
the
people are
movie.
thinking.
Hmm?
Well, I think I was saying what you were about to say. They're the things that they call hoverboards with the wheels, but that doesn't count. But there are um, boards that hover that, of course, are definitely not safe enough to give to the general public, and B, do require special flooring to
Yep.
operate.
Yeah, and those are the ones I'm talking about because I've seen videos and they're really cool looking. First off, they're bulky as all hell. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
they're bulky. And it's a relatively new technology. It came out in 2014 or 15, somewhere around there, I believe, by Archpax. It's like a company out here in California. But it created like this. I have it in my notes here somewhere. Invented the magnetic field architecture that was used to provide the levitation of the hoverboard. Basically, the board generates a magnetic field, which in turn creates like an eddy current, which on top of that creates another opposing magnetic field. But it's gotta you have to be like on what they call a copper hover park, which is what I guess pushes the magnetic pull away from it. It's like putting like a positive and positive side of a magnet together. It just kind of like pushes it away. So you don't really have control of this. Like it's not like, oh, let me throw this on the gravel and watch it float. No, it's got to be on top of this copper platform that has its own magnetic field, and you don't really have any control. It's like riding on a shopping cart that's full of shit. You just jump up on it wherever you're going. That's where you're going.
But Back to the Future 2 did get a lot right.
No, no, it did. It actually did. It did a good job with some of its technological, like once again the video chatting and everything. It's the FaceTiming.
The AR, the VR.
Yep.
They might have
Yeah, yeah,
missed the target a little bit on the uh, number of fax machines people have.
yeah. That was like their house had like fucking 2,000 of them. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. Oh, in the kitchen. Here's the fax. You're fired. Like, whoa. All right, Needles. You're kind of a dick here, buddy. Oh man, and my favorite actually, which I never thought I would actually see. Um, I remember watching this with my dad when I was a kid. Total Recall, the
Get you out
driveless
the
cars,
Mars.
huh?
Yeah, we have automatic cars,
Yeah, I don't trust them, but I mean, yeah, they do exist.
driverless cars. We're in the future. How
Yeah,
crazy is that?
there's a history of these driverless cars wrecking because guess what? They don't have a driver, and the computers malfunction. Surprise, surprise. Like we are seriously we are going the way of the people in Wall-E. And like I'm going to call it 300 years from now, after you and I are long dead, my friend,
Speak for yourself.
people are going to be like fat blobs of everything.
Already there.
I'm talking about like little like bone mass or anything else. You have a full skeleton. People in
Yeah,
Wall-E did
yeah,
not.
that's true.
And it's honestly like it's they had such and Wall-E. Okay, I've always been curious about this with Wall-E since I first saw it. And mind you, my head's always in the gutter with stuff. But this is, I think, a legitimate question. First off, procreation. How did it happen? Is it all artificial? Sexual desires, why don't they have them? Like, I get it. They're like heavy set everybody, but like I'm sure the women get horny at all. But if they have no, if everything is moderated by machines, you just be like, hey, get over here and flick the bean for me. My arm's too tired from looking through TV channels, whatever. And what's his name? The actor that passed away. Oh God, um, he was in Wally. I can't remember his name. He played the he played Michelle's father in American Wedding.
I don't think I saw American Wedding.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up real quick. Fred Willard, I think his name was.
Oh yeah, Fred Willard. He's amazing.
He's dead now. But like, why was Fred Willard in Wally? You have like a live action, well, not live action, but CGI version of him, I believe. But it was more, I don't know, realistic looking than what we ended up seeing in what do you call it? Yeah, okay. So I think Wally, I think it was a CGI version of him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a believable looking CGI version of him. The robots looked amazing in Wall-E. They look so good. And then you see Fred Willard's like CGI ass on the screen, and then you see the people, which look very like Wreck-It Ralph-ish.
I never noticed the disparity between him and the other characters.
Oh, you should go back and look at it, man. Just Google Fred Willard and Wall-E.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it now, and I didn't realize it was.
It seriously,
that
it
much
looks like
different.
it looks like a. It looks like you're looking at him in a cutscene from a PS4 Spider-Man or like a GTA video game, and then you're watching Wreck-It Ralph for the people in the movie, like the human characters. And then you even see, like, I think the difference over however long they've been on the ship of all the captains and how they kind of turn into blobs. But it's just like it goes really cartoonish. And I like Wall-E. I think Wall-E's a damn good movie. But
yes, as soon as they step foot on the planet, they should have just fallen to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, they had no bone mass. They had zero bone mass. There's no way they'd all get up after spending their entire lives laying in bed or sitting in these chairs and being pushed or like carried everywhere. Oh, I can stand up now. Like, atrophy of the muscles much? No? Okay, cool. Yay, science fiction.
I had no idea. Wow. Okay. Learn something new all the time.
It's like my thing with Lion King. Don't call it live action. There's no cockles or balls or buttholes. There's CGI. It's a cartoon. Call it what it is.
So, what other fancy pants stuff from movies and TV has made its way into our actual lives?
3D printers from Darkman.
Okay.
The stuff that he used to make his face, the faces, the disguises, they were 3D printed. It was an advanced
really
3D printer, but it was a 3D printer nonetheless.
I'd say it's kind of in the phase where we are with flying cars, where technically it's a car and technically it's flying, but it also has wings, and it's basically a little plane. That's or a little helicopter. That's really what they're trying to push as a flying car in reality these days. And of course, it's not like you can really go out and the average Joe can buy one. So as far as 3D printers go, we're kind of at that We saw the example, and yeah, it exists, but it's definitely not in the context of the films where we saw them.
Oh yeah, but it's like I mean, it's one of those deals where, well, even Star Trek, excuse me, there we go. Star Trek, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Star Trek, like the replicators, would do like 3D printing of food,
Mm-hmm.
and like things that people could actually eat. It was a replication of what used to be, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken,
there
right?
was no more food crisis after the replicators were invented.
Exactly, because it would 3D print the food from like the atoms and everything else that would have the foods would be comprised of through the records, if I'm not mistaken. But once again, 3D printers. Um, let's see, Iron Man. Like the military's TELUS program. I believe it stands for Tactical Assault Light Operations Suit. It's pretty much it's supposed to take in like I guess data from drones, naval sensors, reconnaissance aircraft, things like this to better inform soldiers. Like think of like its own Jarvis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're trying to do. Then, like they're not expecting people to fly around in suits and everything else, but pretty much it's think of like when Robert Downey Jr. is inside the Iron Man helmet and you see that overly exaggerated amount of space inside this tight little helmet of everything he's seeing, right?
Yeah,
That's what they're trying to replicate.
like a
And
nice
apparently
HUD.
they've actually done it to an extent. So, but
Something else. Now that you mentioned like armor and things like that, I think we're really close to getting to the what was it? The forklift from Alien.
the power loader, yeah.
Yeah, I know there are definitely, at the very least, prototypes of, you know, mech suits like that, where people can climb in and lift really heavy things. In fact, last week I think it was, I saw an article where basically if you put like scraps of metal over it, it would look exactly like an Iron Man suit with how small it is,
Oh
and
yeah,
how they're using hydraulics to make anybody able to lift up to like 500 pounds.
oh absolutely. But it's like and like what we were talking about, like things like with earlier with like video calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Actually, Star Trek was not the first not the first film to ever do that, or the first you know live action sci-fi anything to do that. The first, the earliest reference of video calling or like a video phone was actually from a film called Metropolis that came out in 1927.
Oh, okay.
So, and then depiction of video calls, it became like more sophisticated over time in movies. Like on TV, like you had Star Trek in the what was I think like in the mid '60s when Star Trek came out.
Yeah.
2001: Space Odyssey in 1968 displayed it. And Back to the Future Part 2 in 1989 featured a video calling system with like colors personal information. Um, and it even had things like their favorite. And this is what I loved about Back to the Future too. It had things like their favorite drinks. If you look close, it has things like their favorite drinks and hobbies displayed on the screen too.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Kind of
but
like a
yeah, so I mean,
mixing a social media aspect of it before there was even social media.
pretty much like you might as well just say single in a relationship, married, widowed in a complicated relationship.
Sometimes that
Whatever.
information would be great.
Yeah. But but there's a and like even coming out of like movies, like even books. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Submarines.
Yep.
Jules
Like
Verne
I
did a
mean,
lot of that. From the Earth to the Moon, uh, and other things.
yeah. It's like that's the thing though. It's just like A lot of these things, like between Jules Verne with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, H.G. Wells, what was it? A World Set Free, where he pretty much this book was written in 1914. He pretty much perfectly described the atomic bomb. He mentions like a hand grenade of uranium that would continue to explode indefinitely. And here we are 3 decades later. We blow up Hiroshima and Nagasaki. His description of an atomic bomb even said that the weapon would be dropped from a plane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, these people are brilliant with some of the things that they've said and the way they'd written things. So, what about you? What kind of random trivia do you have as far as just shit that came true from movies?
Things that came true from movies. I'm big on the Back to the Future thing, so the fact that we covered a lot of it is really cool. They even the 3D craze was a big thing way back when. So I don't think it's any surprise that it came back. Although the fact that they kind of nailed the year was pretty good. And even though this isn't really technology related that came from it, the fact that Back to the Future 2 was able to precisely predict the 80s nostalgia craze,
Oh yeah.
that's a little uncanny. Although I suppose if you just look at trends, everybody once they get to a certain age want what they had when they were a kid, including ads and just miscellaneous devices. I know my dad, when he was the age I am now, and to an extent, even still, is like the era I grew up in is the best. Like, okay. So he still watches the TV. He really gets a kick when he sees ads or music from that time, kind of in the wild. You might recall that in the 90s there was like a big 60s kind of resurgence for a quick minute. Bell bottoms came back.
Oh yeah, look at Lenny Kravitz, man.
And that even Lenny Kravitz, Jet, The Strokes, The Hives, doing that, kind of Brit poppy rock and roll deal. Excuse me. So yeah, nostalgia, I guess, is always going to be a thing, but I will give praise back to the Future Part 2 for saying the 80s nostalgia craze would be a thing in the 80s, they called it. So
Yep.
Kudos to them. Although the Inside Out pockets never really made a big fashion statement, I will say, though, 5 years ago, I tried to bring it into play, and nobody else was going for it.
Well, I mean, they're pretty popular in prison, though.
Maybe Hill Valley in the future is really a prison world?
I'm just saying, in prison, people will walk around with their pockets inside out. The difference is that person's kind of like the alpha there, and the bitches are the ones who hold on to his pockets because they're his. Uh, but not only that, but other things didn't really catch on either, like the self-leasing shoes or the size-adjusting clothes, or even the self-drying clothes.
Self-lacing shoes do exist, but in very limited quantities, and only as an homage to Back to the Future.
But are they really self-lacing?
Yes.
I'm gonna look this up real quick.
Okay, while Brandon looks up some information, trying to see if I'm correct or...
And it's not that I didn't know that they were a real thing. So, lacing shoes.
Yeah, he's going to come back in just a second and say, oh, yeah, they're a thing. But it's okay. Because still love them. Yeah. Whoops.
Okay, well, Air Jordan is coming out with their self-lacing Jordans 11 in December. Probably costs like, $1,000, but
Didn't say they would be
Nike,
within reach of the common man. Just existed. Or
Nike's
existing.
new an article from Engadget from February of this year. Nike's new self-lacing basketball shoes go on sale Sunday for $400. Like, okay, I'm good.
Mind you, if I did say come into a bunch of money, you better believe I would have some self-lacing shoes. Because as it stands, I don't tie my shoes, period. I should probably just buy loafers, but I want to wear my Adidas.
I want the shoes from Back to the Future too, damn it.
Then get them. Well,
Oh, wow. Holy shit. 1 second here. Let me see this real quick. Nike's first self-lacing basketball shoes. Um, and the ones are modeled after Back to the Future. Oh, this is like 2 years ago. Never mind. What was the one I went to go open up here? I was looking at something and it says something like a pair of shoes sold for $200,000 because that's
no, the Air Mags or something like that.
no, but it's
Yeah, they're schwank. They're definitely going to have a place on my wall. When it was Back to the Future Day, I tried so hard to get as much memorabilia as I could, but failed in every aspect because apparently everybody's a Back to the Future fan. And then I went to look on eBay and I was like, apparently everybody wants to cash in on Back to the Future Day. Kind of like how everyone's just hoarding up the PS5s and everything right now. I'm just glad that I am above that, and I know I could easily just say to the audience, if you have an extra PS5, why don't you send one my way? But I won't. That would be wrong. I certainly shouldn't tell you to send me a private message, and ask me for my address so you can send me a video game console. That would just be that would be the wrong of me to do. So that is definitely something that you should not do. You should not reach out to me, get my address so you can send me a console. I mean, I can't stop you from doing that, and I might just give you the information, just so you have it, for reasons. But I definitely okay. I'll stop.
Yeah, you should. 700. Okay, Nike. The Nike Hyper Adapt 1.0 is that shoe. It's a running shoe. In 2016, it was self-lacing. This running shoe retailed for $720.
I'm sorry, for $720. That shoe is running to my shelf and never leaving.
No, that's exactly it. Why even buy the goddamn things? Oh, look what I got. Like, that's fantastic. You wear it for what?
Well,
Well, it's a
people
shoe.
do
So,
collect stuff and sneakerheads and whatnot.
yeah, but who the hell collects, like, shoes to put on a shelf?
You got me because I have like 3 pairs of shoes. 2 of them have like holes in them, and I still wear those. I do have one pair of new shoes that I wear out, just in case I don't want to look homeless.
Yeah, see, I've got 6 pairs of shoes. I've got a flip flop. I've got 2 sets of like pretty much like tennis shoes, like for me to use when I'm working on with patients. I've got my Converses. Um, I think 2 pairs of those and a pair of dress shoes. Like oh, okay, I'm sorry, and a pair of boots. So if I include my flip flops in there, that's 7 sets of footwear right there. But it's like I don't understand. Like all that shit cost me less than $200 total. Why the hell would I go buy a pair of shoes for $720? That's made to be the world's most comfortable running shoe. Like I highly doubt people are going to be running in those shoes. You going to go running? Yeah. Why don't you wear the new Nikes that I got you? It was $720. I'm not going to get those scuffed up when I'm running. Do I look crazy? Like, oh God.
Yeah, but stuff that's being sold to like us, the general public, the guys that aren't professional athletes. It does not
Yeah,
make
still.
sense. So I can see if someone's like, "Oh, I am a professional runner, so my shoes cost a ton of money." Well, yeah, it's a work thing. It's a tool of the trade. But for your, average Joe that isn't doing, 5Ks, 10Ks on the reg, you know what? You might be good just paying $50-$200 to get you a nice pair of shoes to go jogging.
Exactly.
Were treadmills a thing
Oh,
before the Jetsons?
I don't know. Excuse me. Sorry. I really don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't want to look it up either. I know there was at least one more thing that you wanted to talk about specifically when it comes to technology from film to reality.
The Ecto-1?
Now, Tom Cruise film.
That's right. AI.
No, that's not Tom Cruise.
No, it is AI in Minority Report. The AI, the interfacing system that they use and everything else, that is actually science fact now. The way in which they would actually use the interface and everything else, the sensor pads and the thumbs, it was all just CGI. It was all science fiction, that movie, and it's very much a real technology now.
Mm-hmm. With the AR
Minority
and
Report
the
made it like a
motion
thing.
swiping.
Let's see, Minority Report made it a thing. And then, what do you call it? Touched on it. Iron Man touched on it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's very much a thing.
Yeah, it seems like the ones that did the AR fared a lot better than the VR, since when it comes to film and television, VR is always seen as something so immersive that you kind of get lost in it. And as somebody with a PlayStation VR, yeah, it's really cool. And I wouldn't say I ever got completely lost, in the world that was being presented to me. It was always pretty it's still pretty immersive, but again, not to the level where you're like, what's reality, man? But do you know what Minority Report nailed more than anything else?
What's that?
They
Please beat the shit out of people before they actually do anything.
damn you for stealing my joke.
Oh, were you going to say that?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, shooting people before crimes are committed.
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something very serious.
I've been holding on to that one since before we started the show.
And this is why we made good co-writers, man.
Oh God, but yeah, yeah. In this day and age, the name plus the pre-shooting, um, certainly. Well, there's no way to spin it. It's just bad.
Yeah. Oh my God. I cannot believe that like we actually had this. That's hysterical. Facebook post.
Oh no, Jar said cops killed people without, them having committed. And you know what? No, we're not gonna go into some sort of lengthy political tirade or anything like that. But you know what? Forget it. Forget it. Forget I said anything. I'll talk to you off the air about my idiot governor. Um, what I think
There.
that's pretty much all of the kind of in your face movie TV technology that I can think of offhand. Because we talked about VR, video conferencing, a lot of communication stuff. Apparently, movies and TV have really done the work in advancing communications between people. That's definitely where a lot of inspiration for technology comes from, and these beeping. I wonder what that means. Probably means lost Brandon.
Oh, sorry, there we go. Sorry, my internet connection went out for a second. What were you saying?
I said, I don't remember. I was just trying to buy time till he came back. No. What I was saying was that when it comes to film and TV, communications between human beings is something that a lot of them focused on. And apparently, a lot of young future tech moguls took that inspiration and built a life around making it a reality. Steve Jobs could owe his entire career to Star Trek, right? Because everyone's like, he's so brilliant. And he's like, and he basically brought Star Trek to life, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Essentially, if there's been an advancement in technology in the last, well, I'll say 20 years, 25 years, it generally has some sort of basis in film and television. You hear the scientists talk, you hear the innovators talk, you hear the inventors talk, and they are inspired by what they grew up watching. Star Trek, of course, I'd say without a doubt leading the way when it comes to the amount of technology that has been not only dreamed of but actually invented, and of course a lot of others, as we've mentioned here tonight. It's amazing how life imitates art in such brilliant and wonderful ways sometimes.
It is. I would have loved to have seen the idea of social media and have it be a way like, oh, well, we're just be having peaceful conversations with strangers versus how it actually turned out.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that while Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back didn't predict the trolling ability of the internet, it was really more of a reflection of the times. I will say they nailed that reflection, especially in the time since when they said, "Oh, the internet is where people go to bitch about movies."
Well, it's like not even just that, but like they further elaborated on it with Clerks 2 with Randall making fun of the guy in a wheelchair.
Do we have floating wheelchairs yet? Can we throw X-Men some love?
Well, I mean, we could have floating wheelchairs if we attached a fixed wheelchair to one of the hoverboards. Huh?
I think we
Line
figured
an
out how we're
entire
going to
house
fund
with
our films.
carpet. Listen, line an entire house with like this copper flooring. Put Grandpa in a wheelchair, attach to the hoverboard, push him, and let Jesus take the wheel. Like, maybe attach Grandpa to like a Hot Wheel track. Oh my God. Oh, I'm so going to hell.
But I'll help you get to bed first. So, Brandon, where can people find you on social media?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, bjacksman82. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/the WADcast. Pretty much just like look for like the picture of the black banner. It has like the black picture of the white banner rather that says WADcast in it. And same thing goes for Twitter. Our Instagram is on Twitter is the WADcast. Same thing, black picture, white banner that says WADcast in it. And that's where you can find us there. I did start a Parler account, but I don't intend to use it. So I don't even know what the hell my Parler name is. I just went there to piss off a few people. Josh, what about you? Where can they find you?
Well, as always, you can find me on Twitter at SkidComic or at WADcastPod or at Semicore Studios. Those are the three easiest ways to connect with me on Twitter. You can go to the Semicore Studios Facebook page, give it a like, just like with the WADcast, give it a like. That way you can see when we're going live each and every Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And you can be here and join the live chat. We've had quite a few of you coming and going throughout tonight's episode. No questions. A little disappointed, not going to lie. So make sure that when you come on in, you leave a question, leave a comment, say hello, let us know you're here. And if you're listening at a later date via download, courtesy of your favorite podcatcher or streaming service, make sure you rate, review, subscribe wherever you possibly can. Let people know about the WADcast and Semicore Studios, both of which are going to be bringing you terrific content. We're going to have another special guest coming up really soon. Not really going to go into the details about that just yet. Let's just say things are getting a little ironed out, and we'll be able to announce that fairly soon on any of the social media platforms that we just listed previously. By the way, if you did not, or if you don't listen to the Backstage Slam podcast every Saturday night at 10 p.m., it's true. The rumors are true. If you did listen to it, you know already. But yeah, I did step away from that. I believe we talked about this last week, but I'm just kind of reiterating that I'm not there. So by all means, if you're a wrestling fan, keep listening to that show. Ben and Kevin will be doing a wonderful job. And are doing a wonderful job. So I just wanted to throw some lovin' out Hawaii way to my forever battle buddy. Wow, a lot of things. We did a lot of talking tonight about stuff and junk. I know I had a good time, Brandon. What about you?
No, I had a pretty good time. It's a very mellow show. The last couple shows have been pretty long and full of a lot of profanity. And this actually has not been one of those shows. So
it's nice to kind of like take a step back and look at some of the accomplishments that have come from, the world that we love when, film, TV, entertainment in general. There's just been so much bad news about, who's supporting who and who's diddling who, and every once in a while, it's just good to look at everything as a whole and say, yeah, there's a lot of crap out there, but this is something that Hollywood does right. And that is, of course, try to predict what we want, what we need, in the future. I wish we had more futuristic movies that we could look at and say, hey, that would be cool to have. Like the flying cars and, the replicators and things like that. We are not all the way there yet on. So, Brandon, any final messages before we get out of here? By the way, go to TeePublic, look up Semicore Studios, and check out our merchandise. That's all I got to say about that. Brandon, any final words for you?
Be well to each other.
Okay.
Bye.
Guess that
Don't
means
touch it.
it's time to play the music and give the final message.
Go for it.
All right. Take it out, Brandon.
Good night, everybody.
Okay. Boys and girls. As always, it's never changed. You have a dream, and the only one standing between you and a dream is you. You can come up with excuses, you can come up with a million reasons why you can't, but just think of one reason why you can, and then dwell on that. Stick to that. Make sure that is your driving focus. Because once you get it in your head that you can't do it, you can. And you will. Success, that's objective. Everybody has their own definition. But whatever your definition of success is, by all means, go for it. Strive for it. And a little bonus inspiration, I guess. Tonight we talked about how art has influenced life in the world. Realize you could be the next person, the next Gene Roddenberry, the next George Lucas, the next person that inspires a new wave. So think not only outside the box, but think with the box as well. Okay, well, that's it for tonight's show. I'm glad you all joined us for episode number 30. Look forward to seeing you next week for episode number 31 right here every Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Till then, I'm Josh. That was Brandon. Have a week. No, that's Kevin Smith saying. Have a night. No, that's awful. Peace out. I need to sign off.